Welcome to Zimbabwe, a nation blessed with some of the most abundant natural resources in the world, brimming with wildlife, timber, and precious minerals, providing an opportunity for growth, development, and prosperity within the local communities that they are found in. However, not all that glitters is always gold for some of the communities that these resources have become both a blessing and a curse to. Take, for example, Bubi, one of the richest districts in the country, with huge deposits of gold and yet still is largely underdeveloped. Rural district councils play a critical role in developing their rural communities. So we took this opportunity to speak to the Chief Executive Officer of the rural district to find out why this was the case and if there were, if any, policies regulating the extraction of these natural resources, such as gold, that will benefit the communities that they serve.
As council, we haven't crafted any policies, but we are using those that are derived from the Mother Acts. For gold, it's under the Ministry of Mines. For timber, it's under Forest Commission, and for wildlife, it's under Parks and Wildlife. Generally, there is no legislation at the moment that I know that makes them involved. Besides that, they must be consulted. I've looked at the consultation documents. You are just asked, what will happen if this person comes to mine here? Then you state he will take our fields, he will destroy our timber, he is going to leave us with the pits. Then the consultant that is doing that environmental impact assessment document will just document those things. And I've not seen what those that are extracting the mineral do to take the concern of the community. So that's what I said, maybe it lacks on the side of monitoring. So the community surely has a say in that they express what they want. But when there is damage taking place, I'm trying to look at the avenue that they have. Well, someone can say they can go and report to the police, they can come and report to council, they can report to the Minister of Mines.
Njengesigaba egold asizuzi asibenefit lutho ugold bayagebha abantu inzuzo yankhona siyibona phakathi kwezakhamizi asitholi lutho. Indlela esifisa ngayo ukuthi abantu abagebhayo nxa bebuya lapha babuye ngokusemthethweni, sikhulumisane labo thina, sivumelane ukuthi wena nxa uzagebha lapho ungazuza lokhu thina ungasenzelana. Ngithi sikhulumisane, yikho sikukhayela ukuthi abantu ababuya lapha sikhulumisane labo, bangazibuyeli nje esigabeni sethu singabazi, ngoba sabe singabazi thina abantu ababuya begebha lapha. Kodwa nxa sikhulumisana labo, sivumelane esikuvumelanayo, sibona ngani singaba lokusizakala njengezakhamuzi.
Bubi is no different from many other rural district councils in Zimbabwe, with communities across the country having little to no say over the management of the extraction of resources such as gold by big mines. Despite living in close proximity to them, it is clear some communities have been deprived of the right to directly or indirectly benefit from the resources. As a consequence, the government of Zimbabwe introduced the Indigenization and Economic Empowerment Act and Statutory Instrument for Community Share Ownership Trust in 2008, with an expectation that every business should cede 10% of its shares to the community as a way of addressing this wealth imbalance. To this day, the question of how effective the share ownership trusts are is still in the spotlight. However, how effective they have been in empowering communities to benefit from the mineral resources, especially in Bubi, still needs to be interrogated.
The community ownership trusts, when they were launched, we were all excited and they were a good thing. And in some areas, what we're reading in the media, what we're seeing in the media, They did very well. They did very well. I know one local authority which drilled a borehole in almost every village. It bought a rig, and using that rig, it drilled a borehole in every village. And I know again one local authority that built almost a clinic in every area where a clinic was needed through the community ownership trust funds. What happened? Again, the law was there, but I think it was weak. In that, like in our case, we had big mines. 3 of them, only 1 was contributing towards the community funds. The other 2 just refused and kept on saying, we will, until the Indigenization Act was repealed. So at the moment, I think there isn't anything that forces anyone to participate in community share ownership trusts. I'm sure the government is working on a law, but at the moment, I don't know any law that one can use to force or to compel anybody extracting natural resources to contribute towards that fund.
Thina lapha silohlupho lwamanzi kakhulu, amanzi asihlupha. Nxa singaba lenzuzo singathuthuke emanzini ngoba amanzi asihlukuluza kakhulu amanzi awakho ke nalindawo. Sibe lezikolo, izikolo zethu zisesephansi azikathuthuki. Lezikolo zethu zingaphakama kwesinye isikhathi zibe ngcono. Abantwana bafunde ngcono ngoba ziyasilela azikaphakami ngendlela efaneleyo.
The Community Share Ownership Trust, backed by the indigenous law, was meant to be a solution to the needs of the communities across Zimbabwe. With the indigenization law having been repealed by the Finance Act of 2018, resulting in no legal framework supporting the existence of community share ownership trusts, companies are no longer compelled by law to contribute towards the trusts. Mines infrastructural development continues within communities. However, communities are not growing at the same pace. The RDCs rely on the collection of taxes and levies. But with that being said, how transparent is the process of collecting these funds, and how are they managed and dispersed by the RDCs?
Normally, councils are run by budgets. Like every year as council, we go out to consult the residents on what they want to see in the following year. And in that consultation, they tell us a list of their things that they want. Then we also ask them to prioritize it. So when we are doing our budget, we look at the issues that have been raised by residents. So in that case, what finally appears in the budget is what they have recommended. So we do needs assessment through the consultative meetings with the communities. And then we have gone a step further as council and asked the communities to come up with the list of all the things that they need so that we craft a strategic document which will be used by anybody who wants to assist us. Those are the priorities that have come out in our budgetary consultations.
The world over, mining that is unsolicited and uncontrolled leaves a detrimental footprint in the environment. With the council relying on their levies to develop the community, we look at the environmental impact of the extraction of minerals upon the community and whether those issues have been addressed.
Nanzake ngizwe lapha ezawela ayi azakube lokukhulumisana bayakhipha kuphela balahlelele khatshana wona mnikazi uzazibonela ukuthi uthi inkomo yakhiwe legodini azakube lokukhulumisana ukuthi kuyahlala phansi ukukhulunyiswa.
Coming to gold mining, gold as a resource, someone once said in Bubi, wherever you trample you find is gold. So what happens at times, gold can appear just on the surface. People just rush there, scramble for it, remove it, leave some piece, and at the end of the day, no one takes responsibility to rehabilitate that piece of land.
Another major issue impacting communities has been the violent clashes between artisanal miners and gangs in the local areas. These gangs, popularly known as Amashurugwi, are wreaking havoc, killing and maiming some miners in fights over gold claims and sometimes forcibly taking over operations of gold extractions. So violent have been the clashes that they have even made national media headlines.
Njengomayina nginanzelele into kimi akukabi khona kodwa ngeke ngaba lakho ngoba ngithathe singikhuluma lokho ngaphansi komthetho abanye ngeke ababamba sebesiza la sebezokona ngase ngiphuza ukuphuza wami ukuthi ngangisiyagigisa xa usuhambisa ioil emchini emchineni akusafuzanga usuke ngoba ungasuka bakutshontshela so ngingumuntu ensithi ngikhona nizadlule emaphosini ngase ngibotshwa umuntu isigcina mthetho singumuntu laso asathembekanga sifuna imali ngenxa yokwehla kwemkhonomi welizwe lethu abanye bathunywa izigcina mthetho ukuthi hambani lentshontsha sizokudla sonke. So sometimes they are well protected, sometimes izigcina mthetho zitshontsha imphopho kahulumende zizokutshontshela kwesinye isikhathi bese sifica ukuthi lawe enxe you are well protected uzama ukulwisana nazo ungaphuza ukuya report oqayise ukufika kuqala kuzwe likaNtulo elikanwabo kalizwiwa. So silama challenge yabantu abangelazi ncwadi ikakhulu abama detector lalaba vele abamelele ufana letsotsi kudala sithe sikhula besikwazi ukuthi kulomuntu osearch umuntu esikhwameni ngabantu abasearch esikhwameni zomunye umuntu emandleni akhe.
We are saying the community in that area should form a management committee to be in charge of that gold that has come in that area. So it works very well. It removes the fights and it removes those that are coming from outside. Those are called Omabemba. Some people calling them Amashurugwi. I think now we've got 3 such groups where people are mining properly, legally, and benefiting as communities.
The lack of enforceable legislation to give the RDCs power to change the current status quo leaves local communities at a disadvantage. Having explored the extraction of mineral resources in the RDC of Bubi, it is clear that more legislation needs to be introduced that empowers and gives the local community more control over the extraction of these resources. Legislation that sets out clear guidelines concerning big mining companies, artisanal miners, and how to interact with the communities. Mining is good for everyone, but is it for Bubi? With that being said, we shift our attention to Bulilima district in Matabeleland South as we explore the impact of Campfire, which came into being in 1982 after the legal provisions of the Parks and Wildlife Act of 1975 were extended to rural district councils. The local communities benefit from wildlife and Mapani worms. We explore the local communities to see how effective the program has been in developing them.
Actually happened is we identified wards that should come or that should benefit in the Campfire program. It's not all the wards in the district. We have 22 wards, but we only have 13 wards that are benefiting from the Campfire program. We identified the wards that are mostly affected by wildlife. This is how we select the wards to say this one should come in, this one should not come in. What happens is we have got institutions that starts from village level. We have a committee at village level, a natural resources and wildlife committee at the village level. Then from there, we have a committee at ward level. Then we move up, we have another committee at inter-ward level where we bring committees from different wards together to form just a one committee. So these institutions always meet regularly to look at human wildlife cases, what the benefits, whenever we distribute any funds from the campfire proceeds. They will meet to deliberate on how best they can use those funds for. This is why you'll find there are so many projects that are mushrooming in the communal areas where there is campfire, just because people normally communicate.
Kunalo umnyaka ngisebenza nabo mpela, they are happy. Even ama-reports ethu abemahle kakhulu ngoba la baze baphakama banika i-feedback ukuthi hayi since bahlalana besenza le campfire bekaze bebone ukuthi i-campfire iloncedo onganani ukuthi bancediseka. So nami kungenze nje uchairman we-ward ye-campfire ngibe happy ukuthi abadala mase bekwazi ukuthi i-campfire yini sizokwazi ukuzihlonipha inyamazana zabo ukuze bekwazi ukuthi babenefita kizo ngoba ziyabancedisa. Even esitolo ezisinazo bekwazi noma basithenga bakhona umvuzo wakutholayo ngoba sibebone through ngento eyenzakala khona kakhulu kusakhiwo sekliniki ifaka isandla esikhulu kakhulu. Ba-happy kakhulu abadala njengoba libona ikliniki ukuthi njani i-campfire zonke izinto bengiziqamba lapha amachebechebe lawa asupply i-campfire, imali ze-campfire. Le migodi eminingi yayisincediswa sigejwa i-campfire. Ngathi zonke into eziningi njengoba sikeza khuluma ngama-glass lawo konke nje ngathi roofing yonke liyalibona ekliniki i-campfire iyancedisa. So far kweyami i-term engene kiyo ibengakaboni iproblem enkulu.
So whenever proceeds come from through hunting, we share them with the communities. You'll find the communities are getting 50% of the whatever revenues might have been collected. They get 50%.
Campfire yona ngokwayo ile lama subcommittees akhona esigabeni ngesigaba lapho kule campfire khona okunjengobulilima lapha sile 3 concession areas sikhona. Thina le ngikhuluma ngayo eMayitengwe la ilama wazi ayi-8 ithiwa iMayitengwe concession area. Sibe le Dombodema concession area lama wadi ayi-5 labo basheya abakutholayo beyi-5. Sibe le Norwood concession area labo basheya beyi-3 abakutholayo. Thina njengalapha ke eMayitengwe siqala sasisho imfuno zethu esizifunayo ukuthi sifuna ukwenzani ngemali yethu. So yakuqala imali yethu thina lapha njengeBhambazi ward i-benefits ye-ward sahamba sathenga i-general dealer ezimbili kulabantu ababesebephuma esigabeni lapho bethengisa izitolo sathatha imali le safaka lapho esitolo leso. So izitolo ezimbili lezi sezingeze-ward. Ewadini lapha sile ama-project afana le clinic kade silapho esikhona. I-clinic le siyenzayo kade i-roofing yama-cottages le eclinic konke lesamende sincediswe yishare yemali zethu eze-campfire. I-project esiphezu kwayo kwakathesi. Although ukuthola amachebechebe lokunye besithola emalini evela kuma-stores ethu la sarentisileyo.
And 4% of that money goes to Campfire Association. We have an association in Harare that is there to take care of our needs and our requests, just to lobby for us. They get 4%, and the local authority remains with the 46%. So the money that goes to the communities is actually used towards social projects of their choice.
Even though the Campfire project has been a success in some wards, it has, however, come with its own challenges, with the human-wildlife conflict a major thorn in its side, as we look at the major causes of that conflict faced by both the Bulilima Rural District Council and the community at large.
Communities, when they poach these animals, they go into bushy areas, especially at night, because during the day people see them. So they snare these animals, and in the process of moving around in the bushes, they encounter these dangerous animals, and this is how they get killed by these animals. So it's a problem that really is affecting us. When people are killed by elephants, they are killed by buffaloes. The other problem of human-wildlife conflict is the search for water. You'll find during the dry season, there is no more water inside the concession areas. These animals will stray into communal areas in search of water. As they go into communal lanes, they actually come across people and people get into trouble because of that.
Emasimini ngesikhathi samasimu indlovu zihlala emasimini ethu lapha yiko sikhulumisana lebe campfire sidinga ama scout ahlala khona lapha emizini yethu lapha campa khona kuma business center afana lama clinic lani bese sibamba amafoni ukuthi nxa zithutsha sesibafonele bese duze begijima bezosincedisa sike saba nenamba esithize nje esizibulalayo ku PAC problem animals control.
The third thing is the haphazard human settlements. In Bulilima, a person can settle where he wants. Can just go to any bush and just build your own home. They don't even consider wildlife corridors. There are places that have been areas for wildlife for quite a long time, but you'll find a person going to build his home there, fencing up his field there. So this causes human-wildlife conflicts. The other thing is, from the look of things, the populations have grown to high levels. It's populations of wildlife, the numbers have grown, and this is why they stray into communal areas. Even the human population, it has also grown, and this is why they tend to scatter into circle all over the areas, where some of these areas would be wildlife corridors. So this is how they encounter challenges.
Something had to be done, and it was. With human-wildlife conflicts on the rise, the Bulilima Rural District Council created a team of armed game scouts who would respond to reports of wild animals that were being problematic to human settlements.
Impisi sasiyandisa ukuthi sincedisane le community sibapha amaslaha ama-gene traps bethiya bezibamba bebulala thina sithatha izikhumba bona bezidlela inyama then inyathi siyasichaya besizishaya khathesi ziyachaywa imbopho ikhona khona le ku project area milutshwana kodwa ikhona khathesi lekuqala sasilama 303 kungcono khathesi balama 375 lama 458 bayakwanisa ukuchaya inyathi indlovu yonke big 5 bayakwanisa ukuchaya noma isilwane so izinyamazana esizibulawayo nxa kuyikuthi ziyahlupha indlovu uyakwanisa ukuxotsha uyakwanisa ukubulala ikakhulu lathi njengekuthi inyamazana lezi njengokuba seziyimali besisebenzisa kakhulu ukuthi lathi sithi save them for money ukuphonga ukuthi nje hayi namhla lezi zikhangele emasimini uyabulala hayi sasiyenza ukuthi hayi lathi sizisuke sichaya imbombo siziyethusele zijike zithathe enye direction kumbe sizixoshe sizihambe sizilalela duze lamasimu ntambama siziyethuse zibaleke zibuyele egangeni ngembombo lamathoshi lokhwana vele sibili hayi ngumsebenzi wami even khona lapha ekhaya ngingela umbhobho ngibancedisa abantu kakhulu ngathola ama-light kuphela ama-spotlight amakhulu mina akhula ndlovu engaquma khona apha ingene emasimini sengafundisa abaningi sebekwanisa ukuthi bezixotshele indlovu.
Even though a team of armed game scouts has been created to deal with the challenges of human-wildlife conflict, the loss of life and property is inevitable. The question now is, are there any policies in place to deal with the issue of compensation?
What we did was we crafted a small policy as a district, which stated that whenever there are any human-wildlife conflict cases, we need to immediately go and make an assessment of what the damage, how big the damage has been like, so that we can see how best we can assist. Like the policy that we have deliberately says when a person is killed by an animal, maybe it's a leopard, it's a lion, it's an elephant, we normally make sure we take care of the whole function of burial. Like we buy the coffin, we buy food for the to take care of the people that would come for the bereavement. So we have such a policy, but the policy is not really very exhaustive. It's not very comprehensive. We are still refining it on each and every day to make sure that it addresses the needs of the communities in terms of human-wildlife conflict.
Nations are known for their intricate delicacies. In Bulilima Rural District, one such delicacy is the regionally renowned Mopani worm. With big game hunting playing a major role in raising proceeds to the Bulilima RDC, Mopani worms are another source of major income, as they have been harvested by the locals for many years and sold to buyers who come from not only this country, but from as far afield as Congo.
Yeah, for Amacimbi, this project is seasonal. So sometimes they are there, sometimes they are not there. Especially this year, there are a lot of Mopani worms. So we give permit to people who come and harvest Amacimbi here, or many who come and buy Amacimbi. We allow only the communities to harvest, and those who come to buy, we give permit. Asibavumeli ukuthi babhode indawo yonke ngendaba ye-pricing ngoba abanye amacimbi amanye abegolwe ngogogo abanye igole ngabantwana ama-child headed families, so ukuthi akhulume kuhle ngegrade yamacimbi yakhe le ntengo yakhona uyabe sengani uqiliwe. Besikhangelela ukuthi singasithola ifunding esincedisayo ukuthi sitrain ama-committees ethu starting from i-ward level sisiya ku-inter-ward level.
In conclusion, it is clear that for communities to benefit properly from the management and extraction of natural resources, the government has to create an enabling environment for communities to be involved in natural resources management processes through clear legislative instruments that not only decentralize power to a community level, but also compel the same businesses extracting these resources to engage and ensure that they are giving back to those communities through infrastructure development and more equitable distribution of wealth.